This is an episode of Recess Ride-Alongs, and today I will be picking up Dallas Mactier, and we are going to be talking about worship in the workplace. Let's go get her. Oh, hey! Hey, girl, hey! Classic. Hi. I got you a coffee.
A coffee?
Yeah, here's our camera.
Oh,
yeah.
hello?
I know. So, this is live. So,
we're live.
We're live. We're
Action.
Live. All right, I'm super excited to have you today. I am doing this really fun series called Recess Ride-Alongs.
Yeah.
And it's part of the season we're in called Life After Recess. Mm-hmm. So, once you've been through recess and you've explored those truths that we discuss in the book, how do you apply those to everyday life?
Yeah.
And so, little known fact, I think it's a fun fact, Dallas and I actually went to high school together. And
back in the day.
Back in the day. We went our separate ways. I was a year older. We went our separate ways. And then the next time I saw you was actually when I was going through recess.
Yeah. Lo and behold, who knew?
Who knew?
You show up on that first night and I go, well, welcome, Sarah.
I did not see it coming at all. And I was like at a really low point in my life and I signed up for recess as a last resort. And I thought, like, I have got to air some of my junk. I have got to get back with the Lord. And I didn't think I'd know.
And who better to do it with than your old high school friend?
We're joking, but it actually ended up being true. Who better to do it with? Yeah, and so at the time, I was still working my corporate finance job.
Yep.
And you were at a big accounting firm.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when we first started exploring how do we invite God into our workplaces, which I know is just such a hot topic because it's easy to treat that as a separate area in your life. And I have just seen you hand this area over to God. I mean, you've just allowed it to become this conduit of blessings in your life that it's not just a paycheck anymore. It's not just and so I guess like knowing that so many people who interact with Recess's Instagram and who like will be watching this that maybe are in positions like you were, like your first one starting out and like it was hard to see when it would end, or it was hard. I mean, it was the crazy hours, it was the demands, and working for a big accounting firm has such they're great at recruiting. That is their thing. I mean, you get to go, I did not get recruited, so lovely. It was like, here's a tote with a pen. You guys are like, come bowling and like
steak dinner.
Young professionals. Like, and it was just like so glamorous.
You want a hair blowout?
Yeah. Oh no, they didn't.
Man, they pull out all stuff.
This is the Recess Women account, so we can talk about the hair. I can't believe they got you with the hair blowout.
I know.
Was it worth it?
I mean, but I didn't go with that firm.
Oh.
But I did the hair blowout.
Oh my God.
I already knew I wasn't going to go with it, but then I wasn't sure. And so then they offered the blowout and I was like, you're a young, I was 21 and they're recruiting you and you're like,
they're speaking your language. They're smart. They're so smart. They're so smart. Oh man. But so let's run the scenario. Like, let's say someone's watching this and they had that day. They had the terrible performance review. They had the terrible conversation. They then also had a text from their husband that was, they're disappointed in them or they're really frustrated and it wasn't a good night at home and it's not a good day. Like, what are the tools you have, or what do you do on a day like that? Yeah. No,
I've had that day many a times, whether it's one or all of the mixed bag. And so I think the thing that's been sweet that we've learned so much in Recess is just the power of praise. I mean, there's been so many times where I tell you I have gone into whenever in each role I've been in, they've had different company setups, so the way the bathrooms are set up. So like my first job, like the bathrooms were sealed off, so like you could go in the bathroom, worship your little heart out, nobody would ever know. Whereas when I switched to like different jobs, then they became like the open stall situation, so then you couldn't like really be like trying to break through. So but I did find that a lot of times
like bathroom sessions,
but I mean honestly like I remember there would be times like where my day would be so just like it felt like overwhelming, and I would go into the bathroom stall like this, and I remember this specifically in my years in the accounting firm, and I would just want to weep, but I would just like lift my hands up and be like, God, you have to like overcome this, because it would be a mixture of exhaustion from late hours and tensions with the team, or just the ways that you're trying to like navigate even just like starting out in the workplace. And I just remember every time, like, there would be things where it's like I would go and praise in the bathroom and then would feel this release. And then I would come back out and I would sit down, and I'm like in these high-rise buildings, and I would see this balloon floating by that's like a heart-shaped balloon. It's like, I love you. And I would just see it I'm like, and it would be like when I'm like, I need to know how loved I am by the Lord. And I would just see, and then it would float back by. Balloons don't just like float back and forth in a high-rise building. They just go away,
No.
So it's like things like that, or even, in my newer job, like
limitless,
it's just, I mean, I would just close my door and I would turn something on. And then even what's sweet is like God in my new job made a way for me to be able to have relationships with people that then I got to invite into the fold, into Recess. And so then it became this sweet place where, I have a really close friend of mine now in the workplace who, if I was having an off day or something, I would just call her or message her, and I'd be like, hey, can I just come to your office? Like, I need to pray. Like, I need, or the thing that's sweet is like the Holy Spirit, like you can sense what's going on like in other people. And so it was sweet because, she would come into my office and I would sense like her anxiety or whatever it was. And I'd be like, hey, let's close the door. Like, let's just pray really quick, or vice versa. But I found that like the second that I just chose to like, to take my mind off of all the things that were going on and give my just like, okay, God, I will give you 5 minutes of praise. Like, it doesn't require you to have like a whole hour long or whatever it was. And sometimes 5 minutes would turn into 30, but it's like, I would just be like, okay, I'm willing to just give you what I have, and to close my door in whatever capacity I can do it without being obviously disruptive in the workplace, and without, not getting your work done. But there's days where you're just unproductive if you don't, almost, where I almost wonder how people get through the day when you are having, thing after thing after thing. Sometimes it's easier for us to blame it on, man, my job sucks, or I don't like the work that I do, or I don't like this. And I've been there, but I just found that like the Lord softened my heart and was just like, you can do the same exact thing, but if you invite me into it and you truly just like surrender it, you get to walk in with the power of the Spirit, and you get to walk in with a fresh lens versus coming in and blaming it on the circumstances and then being upset. Like, I felt like God sometimes kept me in roles longer because it was my heart that needed to shift before He released me to the next role. So
this is a big area that like to tackle in your walk with God, I feel like, for anyone, because it can seem so worldly and temporary, but yet there is so much purpose in it, and it isn't disconnected from your real life, or I don't know, the whole separation of like work. This isn't my real life, or like I work to live to work. Like even that whole conversation, it's like in God, all of it is one. And you are one. You're the same you that walks in there that you are when you walk home. And so, or on the weekends, and it's easier to sometimes just give into immaturities in that space than it is to really change.
I, honestly, like, the thing that's fun about the Lord is when you do allow Him to operate your day to day, you really do have those fun encounters with Him where you're like, I can't believe God just did blank, and I think it's so easy for us to like believe that, you know, only like super spiritual people will have like encounters that where they're just like blown away. But honestly, it's sometimes like the most simple things where, like, one example was when I first started working at the place I'm at now. My husband Mitchell was in dental school, and so we were on one income, my income, and I mean, we were just like on a super tight budget. And the reality was, a lot of the times my not like escape, but I love to use a lot of my lunches to just go to a coffee shop and spend time with the Lord during lunch, and then I would go back to work. Because I felt like it gave me this opportunity to reset and get out of the workplace and not just like go run errands or something. I remember being like, I have to cut these out because it's just adding up for me to go every single day, and it just doesn't make sense. And so I remember being really sad because I was like, man, that's my time with the Lord. Like that's my time to spend with him. And so that morning I had a lunch that my company does. They call these things called lanyap, which, you know, it's like a little gift, a little sussy.
I love sussies.
But it's our executives will have lunch with people and different people from different departments. At the end, they had this mug, and they're like, okay, we have a $50 gift card, and we're just going to do a drawing. And I remember thinking, like, because I'm just like coming off of you know, like looking at my financials, and I'm like, okay, I'm not doing the lunch anymore, and so, or the taking time off, and I really felt like God was going to give me that money. I remember being like, he's going to give that to me. Like, the Lord is going to give me this money. Well, so they draw from it, though, and they, like, read off it's, like, some Jeff guy, and I was like, oh, man.
Jeff.
I was like, no. I was like, I know.
Jeff bless you, but I really
but,
thought.
like, God told me. You know, but it's like, I knew. I was like, I still think he's going to give it to me. What's crazy?
Bold.
So I know, I know, which is like, you clearly didn't win, girl. Like, you didn't win. It's over.
Oh, you're
but
not Jeff.
Jeff, lo and behold, and this is, his name, I don't even remember his real name. It's probably not Jeff, but lo and behold was like, I don't need the money. Like, he's like, please just throw it back in there, like, draw again. And I was like, I am so getting that money.
Jeff.
And literally the next one drawn was my name. And I remember being like,
so
it was
sweet.
crazy because I took that, and it's to people too, it's probably like, oh, it's just $50. But I remember like going into the like the stairs bank, like by myself, and I just wept because I remember being like, God cares so much about me spending time with him that he will allow me to, you know, $50 that, you know, it's like $3 a day for coffee, you know, it's like he wanted me to have time with him. And so it was just so sweet. And then the following year we literally had the same lanyap lunch, and I remember being like, I think he's gonna give it to me again, because I remember that morning I was like, man, God, I miss those lunches I've had with you. I haven't had them in a while. And lo and behold, I literally, my name was drawn in, and I never win things. I never, ever win. It's like,
that is so sweet.
But it's cool to see, like, even
he paid for your dates.
He paid for our dates. And it was through my company. You know, he paid for my dates through my company, through a silly raffle. And it seems like so stupid, but it was one of those things where I was just like, man, like, God cares about the smallest of details, you know?
Yeah. And can move. Oh, that's so cool. I mean, you can move in them. Man, I'm really grateful that you joined me for today.
Joined me
for today. That sounded so well. We have an activity. I'm transitioning us to our activity. I have been so moved so many times by your dancing. And I figured, since it's COVID time, since it's stay at home and observing the quarantine, that we would go do a virtual dance class together.
I love it.
Yes. I'm nervous. So that's too harsh, right?
No, one of these top hair.
I'm excited. You're gonna have to help me. All right, we're just gonna do this in my living room.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
We're gonna have to move some couches and stuff.
We'll make it work. It'll be fun.
I think so too.
It'll make for a good time.
Yep.
We're going to the streets. People need to see our skills. I'll be like a music video. Do you think that they'll hire us? Do you think we'll get a sponsored ad on TikTok? I don't. No? To the railroad? Yeah, we should go to the railroad.
muscles like Superman trainer. Ay, real rare like Super Saiyan Mega. I jump, stomp on Lucifer's Satan. Now I got a few rings on Jupiter skating. I meant to say Saturn, switched up the pattern. Smoking on some shatter, got me higher than a ladder.
I do this too often.
She's now an official hip-hop dancer.
Yeah, like from Britney Spears Crossroads.
Call her 281
Yeah.
330.
I got muscles like
0,
Superman
0,